old roommates. This week, we talk about Charlie's Angels. So take off your bra and settle right in for another episode.
Very subtle, Christine. Oh, as subtle as the music stopping. Yes, Charlie, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And Christina.
And we're talking about Charlie's Angels, the original, the 1970...
Oh, wait. 76, yes.
76 TV series by Aaron Spelling, of course. So yeah, we're not talking about the reboot or the movies or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is
and we're
just
looking at season one.
So and select episodes.
Select episodes. So when we were talking about doing Charlie's Angels, I looked at my local library, and all they had available for me was the best of Charlie's Angels. So thankfully, it was 5 episodes from season 1, and so that is those are the episodes that we are revisiting today.
I'll give a shout out to my library. They had all of season 1, and so I was lucky. Thank you, Providence Rochambeau Library. Yeah.
Okay then.
And so let's talk about then. 1976.
1976. Were you
or
born?
Rather, no, I know. Rather, it was 4. So rather than, I guess then, it's really just the first time you saw this. Do you remember the first time you saw Charlie's Angels?
I do sort of remember it. Well, I will tell you. So 76, I was 9. I was 9 years old.
Okay.
Is that really? We're only 5 years difference in age?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're older than I thought. Anyways, so I was 9, and I remember it coming out, and my mother forbade me to see this.
Really?
Which I kind of get, because it is sort of adultish TV.
Yeah,
especially with everything that happens. But I think it was mostly because it had such a bad reputation of being what I'm going to call, not what I'm going to call, but what they called, I don't know if you remember this.
Jiggle
TV, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was really the main reason where my mother was just like, ugh, you're not watching this trash. Although I do think my older sisters did. I feel like it was part of like the Starsky and Hutch like lineup. I don't know. I don't know.
That could be
I know
right.
Barretto was in there somewhere, but I used to watch Starsky and Hutch. So apparently, I don't think the violence was the problem my mother had. I think it was more of like the braless jiggle TV aspect of it. But I did watch. I remember I watched it when. Oh my gosh, when Chris was on it with Cheryl Ladd, who was amazing.
Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, it's supposed to be her sister or something, right? So I remember watching it with her. So I don't have any recollection of these episodes.
Oh, interesting.
Right. I mean, I obviously I know Farrah Fawcett was in it. Farrah Fawcett Majors, actually, back then. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's pretty much where I was at back then.
So I remember being very young and watching Charlie's Angels. I don't know if I was 4, but I remember, I remember
4 years old.
But here's the thing. I remember being young, certainly before I started first grade, and I would watch primetime television.
Let me guess, at your dad's.
Yeah. No, well, either there. I'm trying to remember what night Charlie's Angels was on. But I remember certain things because I remember my grandparents getting a kick. I would impersonate Johnny Carson doing the hitting the golf ball.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so if I'm up that late, I probably watched Charlie's Angels as a child. But here's the thing: when I do think about this, and I remember when I do consciously remember watching them, I remember, this is going to sound a bit strange, but we're sharing. I remember wanting to be a Charlie's Angel in the sense of, there are, to your point, Starsky and Hutch, Dukes of Hazzard, maybe Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard, that was more 80s.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but there's these shows of these detectives, and they were always men, really boring dressers, no personality to speak of, no cool clothes or fashion or quippy one-liners. There was no...
It was like the Rockford Files.
Yeah, it was just stiff.
Right?
It was stiff and grouchy. And these women were like smart and beautiful and vivacious, and they were put on exciting adventures, and they had to impersonate people. And I was like, that's what I want to be. I want to be this like adventure seeker, like cool clothes, but you know.
And here you are.
But still me. But
Your
still
dream
me, and
has
not
come
like.
true.
But so I want to be clear. It's like it's not. I didn't want to be a girl, but I wanted to be a Charlie's Angel. I wanted like a bit of like that, like you know, because then when you watch TV as a kid, you like, oh, I want to be that, or I want to, you know, it's like, or you just want to. There's something maybe even inspirational about it, where it's like you can be beautiful and super smart. Where I feel like in the 70s. In particularly in television, that wasn't always the case.
Well, and that's why there were 3 Charlie's Angels, right? There was the smart one, there was the beautiful one.
So isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Well, then what's the third one?
The
violent one?
No. So the beautiful one was Jacqueline Smith.
Okay.
The smart one was Sabrina,
Kate,
obviously.
Yeah. Kate Jackson.
And I feel like the Farrah Fawcett one was more of like the giggly, like little girl, like, oh, you need someone to be
giggly.
a prostitute? Okay, here we go. Like
so giggly.
Giggly.
Yeah.
Let me do a dance for you.
So
there's that. I don't know what that's called.
I remember it fondly, and and I remember it like really truly like going to the library and like practically giggling like Farrah Fawcett, getting the DVD, which by the way I can show you. I'm able to take a picture of it. It's held together with an elastic. That's how old this copy is.
Gosh.
But clearly people have been watching it. So let's dive right in. So now we again, like Christina said, we watched 5 episodes, and we're gonna hop around back and forth.
Right. Well, and I will tell you. So when I actually got this from the library. It's 5 episodes, and I had made the wrong assumption that they would be listed in the chronological order.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until after I had seen them all, and I did a little bit of research on like the years and things like that. That actually they were not listed in chronological order. So I'm a little bit annoyed about that. In fact, the last episode I saw was actually episode 1. So I was just very annoyed. I'm annoyed at myself for not realizing it ahead of time. So
Christina's going to start a GoFundMe page for her emotional trials.
Yes, thank you. It was quite jarring.
Yeah.
However, it didn't really make a difference. I don't think I didn't notice a big change in any of the back stories or anything. So it really didn't make a whole lot of difference.
I will say I did something even crazier. We put the DVD in, and it's, disc 1 in the iron order, but it says pilot as the first one.
So jealous.
So we had the pilot, and I'm like, well, hon, so my husband, Carl, usually watches almost everything that we watch together, and he's like, well, hon, you're not going to watch the pilot? And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, really? You think we should? He's like, you have to watch the pilot before you're just going to watch episode. I'm like, but did everyone see the pilot? And so we watched the pilot. The pilot is about 17 hours long. Oh. I don't even know how long this, I was like, it's still going. It is the most convoluted plot. I swear to God, Jacqueline Smith is impersonating like 4 people. So unnecessarily complicated. Tommy Lee Jones is in it, though.
So I had read a little bit about this that I had no recollection of at all. That there was a between Bosley and Charlie. Is this the character you're talking about?
You know who it was? It was the guy. Was he in Barney Miller, or what was he in? But I'll show you. I'll pull up a picture.
Yeah, I had no recollection.
Yeah, there was the middleman. But I'm going to be honest. He wasn't very good at anything. And he drove the car, but he got beat up real fast. But see the pilot. It is interesting. And you get that iconic shot of Jacqueline Smith taking the helmet off and shaking her hair.
Well, she does that in every...
She is...
still gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. I mean, she's still gorgeous. I mean, she's all hair. She is all... gorgeous, flowing
Interesting
hair.
enough, they changed the beginning a little bit, the montages throughout the series and everything. But they mentioned that the Jacqueline Smith one hardly ever changed. Like, they were very minimal changes because it was just perfect.
It was perfect. Yeah.
She's the little cockeyed hat. Like,
before we dive into the actual episodes, I have something else to share.
Oh, tell me.
So, spoiler alert, we really enjoyed this.
Okay.
And we watched another episode. We went way beyond. So we watched 2 extra episodes. And there was one called Angels on Wheels.
Oh my gosh.
That if you can find. And it takes place in a roller derby.
Oh my God, I kind of feel like I remember that.
Yeah. That's the one I actually think I remember.
I feel like I remember that.
Remember in the opener, Jacqueline Smith, when it's like Jacqueline Smith in the credits, she's running from a car and goes, oh no, and like turns around and runs back.
Turns around her back, yeah.
Do you know what happens in that, what she's running back for? There's...
Her comb? I
don't know. There's a suitcase of money. This is from the episode Angels on Wheels. And someone has taped a bomb to her car, and she forgets the suitcase of money. She has to escape the car. She breaks out, runs, then she's like, "Oh shit, the money!" And that's when she turns around and runs back. So that's what that's from.
Oh, so she grabs the money.
But something really funny happens in this episode, and then we'll dive into the 5. I swear to God, this is true. If you can find the episode, everyone watch it. Angels on Wheels. So, long story short, Farrah Fawcett is impersonating the sister of a murdered roller derby queen.
Of course.
Jacqueline Smith finds out that they are plotting to kill Farrah Fawcett on the rink. They're going to push her over the rail, and someone's going to twist her, and then someone's going to break her neck. Oh they did it in the beginning of the episode to someone else. So Jacqueline Smith finds out using her car phone and called. But remember, so now she makes the call, but then her car blows up.
Right.
So she gets to a phone and she's like, Bosley, Sabrina, they're gonna kill Jill at the roller rink, and right now, and da-da-da. And I swear to God, Sabrina says, wait, I wrote it down. I'm sorry, gosh. I'm opening my phone. Christina, say something. It's amazing. Are you ready? They're going to kill Jill. And Sabrina says, we have to get there. We'll swing by and pick you up on the way. I'm like, listen.
It's only 10 minutes after. Some of the lines in this show.
Oh my God.
Laughing.
So let's dive in. Christina, go for it.
All right, well, the first episode that I watched was... Oh, first of all, did you notice, and this was like so cringy, at the beginning of the episode, of course, like every episode, the story of 3 little girls.
Oh.
3 little girls. I didn't realize it until I was like, I'm like, oh my gosh. There's so many grown moments in this whole entire show. But yeah, and then I saved them, blah, 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 blah. So that was like really, really funny. I loved that it was like so super 70s. Like everything about it was so 70s. The fashion, the cars, the music, everything.
I loved
the
all
attitude.
Of it. I loved all of it.
So much fun. So much fun to revisit. So the first episode that I saw was Angels in Chains.
Okay.
So this is when there was Lauren Tews. Am I pronouncing that right?
I think so.
I was called Love from Love Boat. Her first of second 2 appearances in these 5 episodes.
When's the other one?
The other one was Hellride. She was the one that dies.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Wow.
She was the one that dies. So anyways, but this is the first one I saw, so whatever. So she was nervous because her sister had been taken to prison because of some trumped up charge.
Yeah.
It was like this is like the funniest episode. The first thing I noticed, they're in the room and clearly do not have bras on. I mean, it was cold in that room. I think it was mostly like Farrah Fawcett. Like she was the one.
Oh my God.
But I'm like, oh, okay, I remember now why Mom didn't want me to watch this. Like it was so blatant, and you would never ever see that today. But so yeah, it was Angels in Chains, and so they had to get arrested.
That's right.
And so they're driving down the street, and they get pulled over, and. There's so many holes in these episodes. Like, it just makes me laugh. Like, there was nobody else around. Like, there was no, like, phone call to anybody. There was no judge. There was no nothing.
Well, I must interject.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the problem. That's why they were investigating, because it's a bad prison.
Right.
Yeah.
So they just literally just like take them from out of the car and like throw them in jail, but not before they basically have a couple of moments where they're like, you need to get naked. You know, like stripped down. And they're all looking like, oh, here?
Yeah.
And then they have the weird cops smoking, like leering at him, like, yeah, here. So, I mean, there was just so many of those weird moments. And then they did find like some sort of barricade or whatever they could stand behind to get undressed. 3 of them are getting undressed, right?
Perfect size for them.
And then, just covered right from the bathing suit areas, right?
Yeah.
And then the next scene is, you have to shower together now. So I mean, there's all these like little innuendos. I could totally see how people were outraged by it. Just by those simple little things.
This episode, Angels in Chains, is the 4th episode of the whole season.
Yes, episode 4.
I think if you can only watch one episode of season 1, that's the episode. It is so campy. It is so fun. There is never a dull moment. Everyone is over the top. The acting is out of control.
And Kim Basinger was in it.
Kim Basinger's in it, yeah.
There were a lot of different actors that showed up in these episodes.
They talk very openly about, he brought that girl back and raped her. I'm like, oh, jeez, that's Jesus Christ. I'm like, wow. They're like pulling potatoes out of the ground. She's like, yeah, they grabbed her and raped her. I'm like, well, that's good.
Okay.
Thanks for leading, easing me into that revelation.
And there was no, like, he was inappropriate. Like, it was like, he raped her. And the other thing that was really funny about, and I agree, that was a great episode. And maybe that's why they started it, because that was the first one on my CD.
Okay.
So maybe that was the best of the best or something, right?
It's such a good episode.
So,
I do have a couple things. It does start off, though, with, quite frankly, the easiest prison break I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, she just like
jumps. Runs.
She jumps
over and jumps over
the fence and runs. And then apparently, like, killed. So, what was funny about, like, every episode of this, these 5 episodes, I felt it was funny how completely, how much they disregarded the characters in the show, where they would just kill them.
Oh my God, I know.
Right? It was like, bam, dead.
Dead, yeah.
Bam, dead. There was another one, like, there was like...
I was truly surprised multiple times watching these episodes. I was like, they killed her.
She was dead. Like, even at the end of this episode, they didn't find her alive. She was dead. She never found her, I don't think.
And they're like, and they do I said, and I wrote, I really loved the ending. It's like, you find out how the sister reacted when she found out her sister was murdered by cops, and that the culprits are awaiting trial. Like, at least there was some,
there's always that
wrap up.
Yeah, the wrap up.
Like, in the, Charlie, how did she take it when she found out her sister's dead? He's like, not well, Angels. I'm like, no shit. Like, she's like, I can't find my sister. Oh, she's been murdered.
Right.
Like,
I mean, it's just, God. I was really surprised. In almost every episode, it was like all these like little secondary characters, all of a sudden, blam, blam, like dead. Or their car blew up. Like, it was one or the other. Either shot or their car blew up. One of the things
oh my God,
wait,
you mentioned the car. So, Carl and right. Oh my God. So, yes. It is that scene is something out of The Simpsons. The car, so they're basically the angels are in the back seat, and the evil cops are in the front seat. They strangle the cops that are driving with their chains, and they get. Am I doing this right? They get out and jump in another.
Did they climb over the seat or something? Or I don't know.
There's another car. There's another car, and then the cop car is like going. They're not going that fast, and they lose control, and they swerve off the road. Oh God, what?
Wait, during the scene, I have this written down. The deputy, who basically was just strangled, he literally lifted his head up so that Kelly could remove the chains from around his neck. He literally, like, he was supposed to be dead, and he lifted his head up for her. I noticed that right away. I, like, laughed. Yeah, and then they got out of the car.
They swerve off the road. They don't really fall off a cliff or anything. They swerve off the road and roll down. Wait, am I thinking of the same one where the car explodes? No. Go ahead.
Good.
But the car explodes.
Yes, the car blows up
twice. To bits.
Twice. It blows up twice. It literally blows up twice. I'm like, I mean, I laughed the first time, and then it blew up a second time. I'm like, whoa.
Oh my God.
How did it do that?
And all
twice?
it did was spin off the road. It was kind of
Yes,
wild.
and it was a little bit boring. I remember the chase itself was a little bit boring. And then it just kind of like goes off the road and...
Yeah, it was kind of wild.
And then again, one of the things... I have a few things about this episode that I was laughing about. That some of the dialogue was just hilarious. So Jill has to face... Oh, and by the way, did you think it was odd that in every single one of these like undercover jobs, they kept their real names?
100%.
Isn't that so fun?
Yeah.
They were always the same first and last name.
Yeah.
Sabrina Duncan.
Yeah.
Jill.
Maybe because the show was new and they were it's maybe we couldn't. They thought we couldn't keep track of their real names.
It was very funny. It was
super
so
crazy.
interesting.
I was like, oh shit, they're really just and then
one little background check would have seen that they were in the police academy.
Yeah,
and
right. That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
that's true. And I also think there was something where there's a couple episodes where they're exposed and they go all in. It's like, I know you're a detective, Kelly Garrett. And she's like, yes, I am. Yeah. And let me tell you why. I was like, wait, you're just they, and I'm like, is that? I wonder if that's real. I wonder if you're a trained private detective and you're exposed, you just own up and
own up and say, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
This is why
you're in real trouble now. Yeah. It's very strange. I certainly don't remember those twists when I was a kid.
Well, I thought some of the twists were really funny, and we can move on to some other episodes because I think I have a lot more notes on this particular episode because it was
an amazing episode.
But I loved that, how they cracked the case. Do you remember how they kind of got on the right track on the missing girl? So Jill had faked sick,
right.
Went to the infirmary or whatever.
Yeah.
Where there's no one keeping an eye on her at all.
Yeah.
And her thing was, she said, she basically cracked the cake because she said, quote, they're very serious about signing out around here. And apparently the one that died never signed out. She signed in, but she never signed out. And we're just like, that's how you crack the case? I'm sorry, if you're a murderer, wouldn't you just forge her name? Fill it in? And I felt bad for Kate Jackson because, clearly she was I don't know how she survived all the many years that she was on this. She was such a laughing stock in all of these episodes. I felt like she had this. They had this scene where the three of them in this prison. They were part of a prostitution ring, so they get sent to this house and they have to dress up all flattering, these elegant dresses. Kate Jackson comes walking out in this red dress with these huge feathers all over it. Do you remember that? I'm like, she looks like she's a clown.
Yeah,
Did they purposely put her in?
Yeah, it wasn't flattering.
Not flattering
but
at all.
This is wild. So I did a little bit of research, and Kate Jackson was the highest paid for season 1.
Isn't that interesting?
But I don't know what her background was.
I don't either.
Because it was I guess Farrah and Jacqueline were models, seemingly. Kate Jackson was a professional actress, and Aaron Spelling had a lot of meetings with Kate Jackson, and originally it was supposed to be, they're going to call it Alley Cats, and Kate Jackson was going to be the lead, and these two would be the supporting, but then it was reimagined, and it was they would all be on the same level. Sure. But she's not just in the middle because she's tall, she's in the middle because she's supposed to be the star.
That's so interesting.
It does not come across that way.
Not at all. And I'm sorry, I felt like she was the worst actor of the bunch. Did you feel like that? I felt like she was a very over actor. She was always Charlie, really? She was so over the top with some of her reactions. Oh, come on, Charlie!
Well, remember? Oh my God! Well, I thought you'd appreciate. Did you see the one where it's the dancing in the dark, and she has to pretend to be this oh
my gosh, she was in a costume. She had those huge glasses,
and
she had a weird lisp or something.
Honey, I'm here to learn how to dance.
They did not need to do that to her. She could have walked in as herself and just been, Sabrina Duncan's daughter of the millionaire.
You mentioned the dialogue. I will say, Farrah Fawcett's funny.
She was funny.
She really can land a joke.
Yeah.
I like when they're getting undressed and she says, oh my gosh, some girls get $1,000. No, Kelly says it. Some girls get $1,000 a week for this. And then Farrah says, if this is how if this is how it starts, I wonder how bad it's going to end. Because like they walk in and they're like, take off your clothes, and she's like, if this is how it starts, it's like oh my god, it's so funny.
Yeah, that is.
Here's the thing. So you mentioned Kate Jackson, though. I wrote in my notes. I gasped when that police officer pushed Sabrina in the back.
Yes,
because I was like, that looked like it hurt.
It did look.
That's another thing. A lot of their stunts, there's some where it's very obviously not them.
Yes.
Very obviously. The
Skateboarding.
wigs are absolutely. But there's a lot of running, and they go right from running, it's one take, right from running into a scene. Like, I think Jacqueline Smith has to do that quite a bit in the episodes that I watched. And, you know, there's that out of breath thing, which I think nowadays you watch shows, and particularly action movies, and like, you kind of notice it's like, oh, the actor isn't as out of breath as he should be for doing that amazing stunt.
Yes.
But I think a lot of these running stunts in particular were done by them. It looked very
well. They had
real.
to because it wouldn't be Jiggle TV without him.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And yeah, we mentioned Kim Basinger. And yeah, running out of breath, falling in water. There's a couple times when they're all chained together.
Oh my gosh.
That Farrah Fawcett is noticeably laughing. Like they did, you can't hear her laughing, but you can see it in the distance that she is cracking up over this, like having to do this.
Well, maybe it was because they ran into, like, they're chained together, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, bolt cutters!" And they happen to find them leaning against like the building, and they were able to undo their chains. All right, so lucky.
I'm gonna jump to the episode called "Consenting Adults" really quick.
Perfect.
Only for a dialogue note.
Okay.
I swear to God, I think it's Kelly. So she's at a bar and she has a tequila shot.
Yeah.
And the bartender is like, she's asking a lot of questions.
I almost thought he was from Maude. Didn't he look like Albert, not Albert Finney.
Walter.
Well, it was Walter. I don't think it was him after he talked to him. I'm like, oh, is that him?
She basically threatens to close his bar because she's like, that girl over there is underage, right? There is a line, I think it's Kelly, he says something like, what do you want? Da-da-da, money? Da-da-da, this, that. And she goes, I need that. And he says something, and she says, I need that, like the heartbreak of psoriasis. Like, who writes these lines?
Oh my god, Aaron Spelling, right?
Well, no. I mean, but it's like he's a producer, but like I don't know. I mean, like what a weird. And Kelly has some weird lines like that that seem very out of character.
It's almost like they wanted her
to be like the toughie,
to be a certain person,
like hard ass,
like the hard, hard ass, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, she was raised in an orphanage, which we found out during seance, which was laughable. Let's talk about consenting adults for a minute, though. I do have a couple of interesting notes. So one of the things I noticed right away that would never happen now. Mm-hmm. There was I guess she was a prostitute or something. So at the beginning of the episode, she was supposed to signal them. So there were two people robbing an antique place, and she was supposed to signal. And she was supposed to signal them when the man left. Yeah. And she did this by calling the place and ringing twice and hanging up. You'd never be able to do it now.
Yeah.
I remember my neighbor. So we used to have, not us, but we all did, I think. We had certain phone plans. You couldn't call long distance, and sometimes people could, and you had different kinds of plans. My neighbor, when she wanted to talk to her mother, mm-hmm. she would call her mother, ring once, and hang up, and that would be the signal for the mother to call her back. Because it didn't cost her mother anything to call her. So it was so funny to see it. Like, she rang the phone twice, and then they're like, oh, it rang twice. That's the signal. Yeah. And I just thought it was, like, really funny. Such a sign of the times. Like, you'd never be able to do that now. Anyways. Bosley had, like, this really... he was supposed to impersonate someone during that. Like,
oh, my God.
And she's like, do you think you can... How you would impersonate? Do you remember the guy's voice? And he's like, yeah. How do you think, can you fine tune it in a half hour? And she's like, yeah. And he calls and sounds exactly like Bosley.
He does.
Not even a little bit.
Super random that the guy he's trying to impersonate, his voice is just like my grandfather's, like on my mom's side. May he rest in peace. And I was like, oh, it's super eerie because his voice is just like my grandfather. So whenever Bosley said, I can impersonate, it was like, ooh, because I knew exactly what to expect, and you're exactly right.
It's exactly the same. Like, oh my gosh, like,
you're gonna make an effort.
Yeah, Sabrina could have done a better job with that. For sure.
And speaking of Sabrina in that episode, consenting adults, she just like scales a barbed wire fence.
Yeah.
Effortlessly. No, I mean, I don't know how she survived it. Like, not even a scratch on her hand. But she did it, so good for her. There's a weird random joke with puns involving hobby horses. Did you catch that one?
I don't know. I did not.
And there's a scene where they're like, the angels are talking, and I think Farrah, because she usually gets the funny line, they were like, yeah, how did this happen? Who stole the thing? And then Farrah goes, and why did we ever agree to work for Charlie in the first place? Farrah Fawcett, Jill Monroe, her character, laughs at her own jokes, which I appreciate.
Yes.
Like, she laughs at her own jokes in every single episode.
Yeah,
and like,
she was good. She was really good.
is having a good time. That is one overall note about this show. Mm-hmm. They're having a blast.
They are.
They are laughing. Sometimes they're laughing, like, you can see, and I'm like, they know they're on camera. Because, like, they're smiling in scenes that don't really call for it. They're having a totally fun time. Mm-hmm. I did forget that Jill, out of the Angels, has a crush on Charlie.
Right.
Which sometimes it works, sometimes it really doesn't. It's a little awkward.
Well, when I was looking it up, too, and I found out that they, when I was reading about the pilot... Mm. And how it had, the extra guy and everything. It did mention that Jill started strong with the crush, but then they really downplayed it through after a couple of episodes. Mm-hmm. They really downplayed the crush.
That's right. The pilot, it's crazy. Every time Charlie's on the phone, she's like, "And what about me, Charlie?" Oh, it's super weird.
I need to watch that.
I think that was like Aaron Spelling living vicariously through the character of Charlie.
I could see that.
And another general note. So we're showering a lot of love and tongue-in-cheek things. But I will say there's something that does bother me, like, structurally about the show. And I think this goes for a lot of shows of that time, and even probably now. My grandmother used to love shows like Jake and the Fat Man and all these kind of shows. And she always wanted me, like, I would visit her, we'd play Scrabble, and she's like, "Oh, stay and watch Jake and the Fat Man." And in these kinds of shows, what I don't like is that they're supposed to be detective shows, researching a crime. But every single episode, you know who the bad guys are. Mm-hmm. Like, within 7 minutes. You know who the bad guys are. You know what they've done.
Right.
You know how they did it. There's no mystery. The only thing you're watching is how will the angels find out that these are how the bad guys did. Like, they even know who the bad guys are. There's almost, like, too much information front-loaded. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's how detective work works. Like, you have to know who your suspects are. But I would have preferred finding out certain things as the angels found them out. But I feel like the audience always knows more than the angels.
And I think that's how it's structured now with things like,
that's what I'm saying. Even now, I think with detective shows, like, the audience always knows more than the detective. And there's gotta be a smarter way to have it be more engaging. Like, I don't enjoy those sort of setups like that.
Right. Well, I don't know if it was about the storyline so much back then. I really don't. I mean, on one of these, there was one episode I was watching. Was it? It wasn't the Seance. I think it was Dark. I think it was. Oh, it was Dancing in the Dark. Mm-hmm. The Dancing in the Dark episode. Mm-hmm. So it was about these people trying to extort money from,
a widow.
Or wait, no, Dancing in the Dark. Dancing
in the Dark is like starts with
the
male dancer.
Right, that was the beginning part of it, right. And so it was really just trying to, seduce or whatever, put them in a certain situation, and then a photographer would come in, take pictures, and then they would try to blackmail the husband or the father or somebody with a lot of money.
Yes.
Okay? So I felt like this episode, again, this was one of those episodes that just went on and on and on for me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's like almost like they had this idea and they're like, all right, well, this episode's too short. We have to add something else.
100%, Christina.
Right?
100%. Because Even Carl was like, wait, why did they just do that? That just made everything more complicated and longer. Like, they got the money, now it's not enough money. But then, Bosley pulled a fast one on you. That's Bosley.
Why did they do that in there?
It's so weird.
It was so weird.
And I said, and what I said to Carl was like, they're orchestrating a big shootout. Like, something big's going to happen. And it wasn't.
No, it was a bowling alley, which was hilarious.
You can literally bowl someone over with a bowling ball.
My gosh. I loved Kelly's escape. She runs down the bowling alley, the alley itself, and slides into where the pins are. And then she's like crawling around in the insides or whatever. It was great. Like, that's the only reason why they ever had that whole entire probably episode, is to have that bowling area ending. And then he's chasing him, and Jill comes in and has a bowling ball, and just like, I was waiting for her to say it was a strike. But she never did that. I was sadly disappointed. But, it was just so weird, that whole dancing in the dark. And even Jill had nothing to do in that episode except for dance. Like, there was no reason for her to be there at all. She showed up as a dance instructor to teach people how to do the hustle. Mm-hmm. She's in the office, it was so awkwardly, doing the hustle in front of the boss. Right?
Ultimately, it's pointless.
Pointless. Probably, what, was it like 2 minutes of dancing? Mm-hmm. I feel like just to waste time.
Well, maybe exploit her a little bit.
And of course, yes, of course.
The jiggle.
Yes. The jiggle part of it. And then, but there was no reason for her to be an instructor there. Like, why couldn't Sabrina just go in there? Mm-hmm. She was just had nothing to do.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that was...
Oh, no, she did. You know what?
She
did. Because she's like, well, you know who that is, don't you? Her dad's a millionaire.
That's the only line that made any... but they could have figured it out. Like, Sabrina could have said, well, my dad's is a millionaire. Like,
right.
It could have easily been a line from Sabrina.
Yeah, true.
There was no real reason for it, except for her doing the hustle. And then that weird, creepy guy always wanted to dance with her. Like the customer.
Yes. Ugh,
so gross. What else?
I do love in Hell Ride, which is the race car episode, which is actually the first real episode of Charlie's Angels ever, not the pilot, is there's a character named Bloody Mary, which I just
I love it.
Made me laugh.
She looked so familiar.
Yes!
It's not who I thought it was.
No, same. It's so weird. I swear to God, Christina.
She looks so familiar. Who do you think that she looks like? She looks like...
She almost looks like a young, like, Agnes Moorehead from Bewitched in some scenes, but, like, she's just...
Or a young Shirley MacLaine.
She looks like her, too.
A very young Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah, and it's just, like, someone who just had a lot of bit parts, and Jenny O'Hara is her name, but, like, she's... But I'm seeing other things.
Because I looked her up, and I'm like...
Would I have known her from that, though?
Yeah.
But, so with Hell Ride, I just wrote, I love the mini camera. I remember wanting one, where it's like, you pull it and it takes a picture.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
And I just heard Jacqueline Smith is gorgeous. And
the car blows up again.
That's right. The other thing, really convoluted. You go from jewel smugglers, and then poor attendance at the racetrack, and then the love affair gone sour. And there's like 3 or 4 different storylines going on in one episode that just sort of get in the way. And it does feel like, for the first episode, I'm like, wow, this is kind of slow going.
Yeah.
It was a little boring.
Agreed. I totally agree. The one thing that really stood out to me was Charlie being completely, like, all the dialogue was so sexual. Like, I actually wrote some of the stuff down. I think was it near the end of the episode or the beginning? He was not, like, I think he was making groans or something over the phone. And they're like, what's going on, Charlie?
Oh,
and he's like, I'm a little stiff. I've had some crushing weight on me. And then they're like, oh, well, I'll help you. Someday we'll try, whatever, what it was. And he says, don't worry, angels. Soon I'll be standing as erect as ever. And he says erect, like really stresses the word. I'm like, are you serious? Is this like really necessary?
There was one, and there's another one where he says something like, I'm in the middle of hosting a very important circle of, friends, of dignitaries, whatever. And he seriously is sitting in a hot tub with 8 women.
Yeah, and were they like slashing him?
Yes,
and stuff?
yes.
Yeah,
Like, oh, that's convincing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
What do you think? Is it time for maybe
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
We have a couple more things to talk about,
but we'll be right back with more on Charlie's Angels.
Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pulp culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we're back.
Discussing.
Revisiting. Season 1 of Charlie's Angels.
Any final thoughts before we get to our questions?
Well, we haven't talked about a couple of the episodes.
That's true.
So, I think we need to touch on a couple of them. So we talked a little bit about, what did we talk? We talked about Hellride a little bit, but I will say there were a couple things. One of the things that I didn't understand was they have this race car situation going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, there's going to be some road traveling preacher man played by Bosley.
So that
and Jill as his daughter. So out in left field.
Well, I think sometimes, and this is their first episode. I think sometimes like they just needed to do something with these other characters.
They needed something else,
and I think that does begin because I wrote something about Hellride. It was like if 4 people entered your life at the same time, I think they'd be like, wow, it's a whole lot of new activity in my life. Like, and they do. They kind of all go in at once. And I thought that was like, I feel like this would be a bit problematic. I also think that the poker game was like...
What was the point? There was no point of that.
I know. It was like Farrah's like, hey... There were a lot of scenes that went nowhere.
That went nowhere.
I think, to be honest, that was I think my least favorite episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Of the ones we had to watch.
I agree. She pokes her head in, and what's this game called?
Yeah,
and then she plays. She clearly, of course, she ends up winning all the money, but she ends up being the dealer, and so she's supposed to be someone who doesn't know about cards.
Yeah.
And they show her hands, obviously not her hands, doing all of these like shuffling tricks and everything. I'm like, what is going on? Like, talk about trying to blow your own cover.
Right.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, I think she was truly hustling. I think she wanted them to for them to think she was a force to be reckoned with in some way. I think she was going for like respect. To get to have a deeper conversation with the other guy, but none of them.
I don't know what was happening there.
It never went anywhere.
It was such a silly scene when Bosley shows up in this preacher van, right?
Yeah. So
he comes in over the top, weird character, and why he's hanging there, I don't know. Nobody understands. It was just strange. But what was funny is he's on display. He's like, comes over, he's like, hello, whatever, bless everybody. So he's drawing this huge crowd. Like, everyone is looking and saying, what is going on there? And Jill takes a bow, and everybody claps because she takes a bow. And then Sabrina, who's also supposed to be undercover, walks over, and now she knows him.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, nice to see you. I remember you from in Texas. Yeah. And as she walks over. Now, remember, everybody's still looking at them, right? Because they're just showing up, and they're, like, weird. Yeah. Any news on the case? And he's, Kelly's over, and da-da-da. And he actually tells her a little bit about the case. Well, everyone's staring at her. Yeah. It was so weird. It was weird. Just, I don't understand the decision making. Sometimes I felt like there wasn't a lot of thought.
The covers were strange sometimes. Like, this is a very elaborate cover to get into this world. I mean, like, it just, it's very weird.
It was very weird.
I will say, speaking about Hellride and also the other episodes, I actually looked up when power steering was invented. There's some really bad drivers, and I don't mean my
all the cars exploding.
The exploding cars, but the cars swerving. It's seemingly the most simple of turns, but At first, I was like, oh, Sabrina's a good like Kate Jackson's a good TV driver. But then another episode, she's really not. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not, maybe they didn't have power steering then. Power steering was invented in 1951. Still a bit of trivia there. Charlie's Angels 76. So they had power steering. My point being is that, like, every time she turned the wheel, she turned it back to center. Not necessary.
No.
And it was just very, a little spastic.
So that kind of brings us over, did you have something else to say about Hellride?
Nope.
So this sort of brings me over to the seance, which of course that last scene when Kelly is hypnotized and she's been hypnotized to drive the car over the cliff with Jill.
Yeah.
She was driving quite fast.
Yeah.
That whole situation was kind of crazy. I still don't understand why she snapped out of it. Do you remember why? Is it because Jill grabbed the wheel and skidded off or something? It was very strange. It was a strange episode. For those of you who are not familiar with this episode, Kelly was hypnotized and
while researching
a
crime.
And she actually gets hypotized, so her cover is blown, and we find some really deep, dark secrets about Kelly, which I thought Kate, so she was a little bit over the top for some of the stuff, but there was one scene with Jacqueline Smith sitting there and talking about being locked in a closet, and she actually was starting to cry.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's a really good acting.
And she changes her voice.
She changes her voice.
Beamish. No,
Beamish.
please, Beamish. I'm like, what kind of name is Beamish?
I don't know what the hell that
And then
is.
Carl's like, my husband's like, are you going to go as Beamish for Halloween? I'm like, she is a Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
She's a monster.
That would be amazing.
But Beamish, but Jacqueline Smith, again, I don't know why this show is so sort of passed over, but there is really some really good acting. I know you feel differently with Kate Jackson, but Jacqueline Smith, Farrah Fawcett, I mean, they really have some really good moments in these episodes.
They do.
Seance. My thing about the episode Seance is that it's the guy from Benson, Rene Auberjonois, who's in everything back then. He kills Madame. What was her name?
Yeah. Again,
Madame whatever.
Yeah. Again, completely.
He killed her. She's bleeding from her head.
Expendable characters.
She was she was a lovely person. She was a great character.
And she was helping people. She wasn't the one swindling.
Here's
he
my
was
question.
The one swindling.
Right, here's my question. If he didn't, how did him killing her impact the plot in any way at all?
None.
He didn't have to kill her. He was already in trouble for other things.
Right.
And then when they do catch him, he's like, I didn't mean to. I'm like, she's bleeding from her head and propped up at her fortune teller table. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It was so unnecessary and didn't really add anything other than just some gruesomeness.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt the same way when they killed the two thieves.
That was so shocking. Yeah.
So that was not necessary either. I mean,
Who
they
was
could
tied
have.
to the chair? Was it Kate Jackson?
Kate Jackson was tied to the chair, blindfolded,
and
then the Diamond guys came in and just immediately, bam, bam, just killed the two guys,
assassination style,
and they did not need to be killed.
No, it was so strange.
It was so strange. These characters were just
expendable.
Done. The other thing too that I thought was kind of funny.
Really quick, Angels in Chains. They murder the girl in the bushes.
She's in the bushes, yeah.
They kill her, and I'm like, if she'd been left alive, but maybe held in a room,
right?
Locked away in a room, being maybe, I don't know, starved or something. At least she could reunite with her sister,
right?
But they murdered her.
They just murdered her. Do you feel that's a sign of the times, for us feeling that way too? I wonder how these other 70s
because there's a
shows
lot
are.
of violent. There's a lot of violent shows nowadays where people are.
But don't you think it's isn't it strange that we're shocked
that affected by it?
That we're shocked that the victim was actually killed.
Because I think history,
or even the other characters were actually killed.
No, I know. I think it's because I think history likes to treat Charlie's Angels as fluff, and so I wasn't expecting anyone to be murdered or die, or to be killed. Yeah,
me either.
It's crazy.
In fact, what's funny about that too is when they rebooted the movie. I forget who was in Drew Barrymore and
Cameron. Yeah,
they actually had an agreement that they would not use guns. Did you know that? They said I don't forget who it was that did it. Maybe the three of them did, but somebody did. And they do not use guns in that whole movie. They
Huh.
just do like whatever karate chops or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Cool.
so yeah, I thought that was funny. And the only other thought I have was that it kind of goes along with this whole expendable characters being killed. They also did not really care too much about specifically in consenting adults.
Mm-hmm.
So she sees a 16-year-old prostitute. Like, they don't give a shit about her. Like, they don't care about any little little prostitutes, or even like the main character prostitute.
Right.
They just don't care. And I feel like these days, like, they would at least try to help them at the end or something.
Well, they do try and help Kim Basinger, right?
Yes,
and then
that's
she
in the
becomes
prison.
Right, she becomes a secretary that's in Angels
Yes.
in Chains. But I agree. I think, and the other part for me too is that there are many moments where I'm like, I kind of forgot they were detectives. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why aren't they just arresting the person right now? It could all stop right now. Just
stop it right
citizens arrest.
Could easily have been a half-hour show.
Yeah, in some of these, that could have been a half hour.
And can we talk about the relationship with Bosley?
Yeah.
Like, what was that? It was really a strange, uncomfortable relationship in a lot of ways. Like, in some ways, they were coworkers, and in some ways, he was like a father figure.
Yeah.
In some ways, they would like flirt with him.
Yeah.
Ugh,
yeah.
gross.
It didn't bother me. I'm going to be honest. It didn't bother me.
Some of them it bothered me.
Okay.
Some of the episodes.
I liked the random scene where Kelly is like in love with this dress, and she's mad because Charlie has limited their budget for, and I thought that was such a random thing since Charlie seemingly has all the money in the world,
Right?
But yeah, I thought that was good. Kate Jackson, you mentioned her acting, and I wrote this down. I do want to bring it up, and I think everyone knows that. Not everyone, but I think people know this. She was up for Kramer versus Kramer in the Meryl Streep role, and Aaron Spelling said no. He was not going to work with her schedule, because it wouldn't have been that much of a lift. I mean, if you remember Kramer versus Kramer, it's like she doesn't have that many scenes. But Aaron Spelling said no, that could have changed her whole career.
It really could have.
Because Meryl Streep won the Oscar, I think, for Kramer versus Kramer as supporting actress. But here's the thing. So the backstory is, like, after she was denied that opportunity, it affected her morale and her energy, and some say her performance. And then she was done with the show, and she started sort of bashing the show in the press, saying like,
I remember a little bit about this.
Yeah, and they decided not to bring her back for, I think, season 4. Michelle Pfeiffer was in the running to replace her.
Oh, wow.
And it went to Shelley
Hack. Yeah, I remember that.
But it would have been Michelle Pfeiffer, and that she would have been probably very young. No, are they both all? No, Michelle Pfeiffer's younger than them. Maybe by 10 years.
She seems younger. That would be a weird recast. I can't see her playing like the Sabrina role.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't have been Sabrina. It would have been like Angels. It's our new Angel.
Well, I mean, but that would have been her role, though. Yeah, like when they replaced someone, it was still that same.
Think Sabrina was the brainy one?
Yeah, I think that she was supposed to be the brainy one.
Interesting.
What was she? She wasn't the sexy one.
Did they have to have?
Yeah, they definitely had their own roles, for sure.
I don't know about that. I think we...
Absolutely they did.
Oh, my gosh.
And then the other thing that I just wanted to say, I feel like I have so much to say, but I do remember, I probably wasn't when it first came out, but I remember the whole mystery of who is Charlie? Who is Charlie? Who is he? That was like this huge, huge thing. And it was before the internet. It was before you could look anybody up. And I remember... looking at his name in the credits, like, what is his name? How can I find a picture of this guy, John Forsythe? And it was like, almost like, not an obsession, but I was definitely like trying to figure out what he looked like. And then I had kind of forgotten about it, but put it to rest. And then he was on, was it Knots Landing?
Dynasty, for God's
sorry,
sake.
one of the others, whatever. And I was so excited to finally see a picture of who Charlie was. And it made me happy. Yeah.
It is, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought I was surprised how much of him you saw. I feel like in later seasons you didn't see the profile of him anymore.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. I don't remember him being super hidden. I feel like it was like teasing the whole time. Like there's, you knew he had like the salt and pepper hair.
Yeah.
And, you know, that sort of thing. Because he was always had a situation where he was with women. Like, you always remember he was like that Hugh Hefner.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Yes, there was usually a woman like keeping him company.
And I feel like there was a lot more of that. Like there was that one scene I think in Hell Rise when was it Hell Rise? Hell
Ride.
Sorry. Or Consenting Adults when they were at the bar at the end, and she's like, "Oh, the gentleman that was at the bar paid," and they were all like, "What did he look like?"
Yeah.
I felt like there was more of that as the seasons went on.
Yes,
about more like, what did he look like? Where was he? And he was like there but not there, and like just missed him by like a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway. So any other thoughts?
I mean,
I feel like I've had enough thoughts.
I know, me too. And I think, but maybe he didn't show his face because I shouldn't say that. That's so stupid. I'm not going to say it. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I was going to say Charlie probably has more than one venereal disease.
Yeah. At least 3. So, question time?
Oh, really quick. Consenting adults,
yes.
the final thing. And you touched upon it loosely.
Yeah.
Farrah Fawcett outruns an ice cream truck on a skateboard. And it's just, you have to see it to believe it.
It's hilarious.
The wig alone on the stunt double is
it's
out
so bad.
of control. All right, but we know one thing we didn't actually say. Did you like it?
Oh, yeah. I did. I liked it for what it was. Mm-hmm. I liked it for what it was. It was just fun and campy and just so... It was light, aside from all the murders.
Yeah. And
it
Kelly
was
being
different.
Abused in her past. Yeah.
Yeah, it was... I thought a couple of the episodes were just so long, and I'm like, all right, be done with it. And then there was like a whole other layer to it that didn't need to happen. So I felt like some of them were way too long, but all in all, I thought it was fun, and I liked revisiting.
Telling you, those first two, the pilot and Hellride, were actually my least favorite. And that Angels on Wheels was one of my favorites. Angels in Chains, incredible. Sorry. We live in
We're clearly getting
crime. We're living in a crime infested.
It's like big.
I live in a crime infested neighborhood. Oh. No, but all that to say, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. When it's good, that's it, right? It's like when it's good, it's great, and when it's not, it's just a little boring.
Yes.
So do you have a question already?
I do. And
I have a question for you. It's very, very obvious. Do you want me to go first or you?
You can go first.
All right. So you did this to me once, and now I'm doing this to you. It's a FMK. It's a fuck, marry, kill.
Oh boy.
And I'm going after I'm going sort of against your sexual orientation.
Okay. So
here they are: Sabrina, Kelly, and Jill. Fuck, marry, kill.
Okay. So.
Oh wait! I'm sure.
You need to.
Oh my God.
Yes,
I have to guess what you're going to say. All right, so I'm guessing.
I need to give it a little. Well, it's not super hard, but I think.
I'm not done yet. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Ding.
So ding. I would kill Sabrina. I don't know if there's any kind of mystery to that one. The other two are a little more difficult, but I think that I would enjoy an actual relationship more with Kelly.
Yes!
Yes. And then Jill.
And
she's more wild anyway.
Yeah.
She would probably
just because, I want to be fair to you, I will also do this if it's not my orientation.
Okay.
So I got it right. I guess exactly what you said. Yay!
Good job.
But I would have switched. I as much as I love Kelly, and I think she's devastatingly beautiful, and the hair, and she's so glamorous, I think I'd have to kill Kelly.
Wow.
I think I would fuck Jill and marry Sabrina.
You would marry Sabrina
because she's fun and she's always smiling.
Is she?
And she's always game. Like anytime it's like she has to like throw herself
That's true.
out of a
she had to be a race
or
car
like
driver.
I mean she's always up for the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think fine if I don't know if she's brainy, but like she's always smiling and happy and energetic and she kind of wears men's clothes sometimes, so maybe we could even share a wardrobe.
You would definitely be able to share the wardrobe, for sure.
But and then Jill just seems like a blast. But Kelly, you know what? There was just a few episodes where I'm like, she's very sly, and she's so good at lying that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I really trust her.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, as amazing as Jacqueline Smith is, and she is, but that's that.
Yeah.
So
I have a question for you.
I'm excited.
It's a match date. It's a match game question.
Yes, yeah.
So let me see if I have it kind of scribbled. So did you hear there is an updated version of Charlie's Angels?
How updated is it?
No. There's a gender switch.
Okay.
It'll be a gender switch. All so all the angels will be male.
Okay.
And Charlie will be played by blank.
Oh. All right. Damn it. Can I have two answers?
Sure.
All right.
We're easy here. So if you have two, it means you will be able to at least match one with me.
I would hope so. You know what? I'm going to live on the edge. I'm only going to have one.
Wow.
I was going to put as just a spoof of casting. I was going to put Betty White just because she's in there. I was trying, and all she has to do is talk, so I think it's fine.
Okay. All right. So
ready? Do I answer first, or
should I say the question?
Oh,
okay.
The question again? Okay, sure.
That's usually how they do it.
Fine. All right.
So an updated version of Charlie's Angels, where there was a gender switch.
Mm-hmm.
And all the angels are male, and Charlie will be played by
Joan Collins.
That's a good one. But isn't she dead?
No, Joan Collins is alive and well.
Oh, sorry, Joan.
Her sister passed away.
Oh, Jackie.
Yeah.
So I said...
You said... No, you did not. Betty White. Oh my gosh! That's so crazy! Damn it.
I think she would be great as Charlie.
I split my page, and I was
hilarious.
Joan Collins, I was right, Betty White.
I almost busted out laughing when you were like, I almost said.
I was going to say Betty White.
I really and truly, I should win some sort of an award for the...
And truly, that'd be cool if they did that. Like, have
she would be great, because she always has those sexual innuendos. She's always be surrounded by male.
Yes,
like,
that would be so fun.
That would be great.
And, like, you could have, like, and maybe even, like, two of the Charlie's Angels, or whatever it's going to be called, like, are... Like, because, you know, they're three hot guys.
Right.
So they'd be male models first, and detectives second, or actors second.
Definitely.
So the acting would be rough, but maybe one or two of them could be gay. Maybe they could all be gay.
Oh my gosh, that would be
and,
so fun.
Betty White as the Charlie.
We should make this.
You know, who would be Bosley?
Bosley? Well, it would have to be a woman. So
someone a little campy and fun.
Maybe like who could it be?
And probably somewhere in their 50s. Like, with Laurie Metcalf? That'd be kind of fun.
That would be a good one.
Oh my god, yes, that's it. Laurie Metcalf.
She would be great.
She'd be great as a Bosley.
Oh my gosh, let's do this.
Yeah, for a male edition.
Let's write a pilot.
I don't know who I'd cast as any of the men, but
I don't know.
I don't know either. I know one.
Ryan Seacrest?
No! He's not even an actor. What if we use, like, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend actors?
Oh my gosh,
it's all
that'd
there.
be so
it's
great.
all there. It's all there. It's so good.
Oh my gosh.
$1 million idea.
That would be amazing.
You're welcome.
You know what? We should send it over to Rachel Bloom.
Yeah, she should do it.
She should totally do it.
And I think that was fun.
That was fun.
All right.
That was a lot longer than I expected.
So truly, and you know, visit your public library, because some people might be wondering, well, great guys, how am I supposed to watch this? But
yeah,
they're absolutely on YouTube for starters. But you can look up your local library and go online and see if they have it. And if they don't, they can probably request it from a partner library. And before you know it, you're watching Charlie's Angels.
So fun! I think you'll
time.
I think you'll
worth
appreciate
the watch, 100%.
Definitely.
And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please. If you have an idea for the show, a suggestion, or a comment, email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Till next time.